Now to Dave Greenfield, who's the keyboard player with the Stranglers, who sadly died at the age of 71. He tested positive for coronavirus whilst being treated in hospital for a heart condition. He joined the influential punk band in Guildford, 1975. He developed a trademark style of playing, and particularly using the Hammond organ or maybe the harpsichord. He also played on most of the band's best-known tracks, including Peaches and No More Heroes. He'll be best remembered for composing one of their most famous keyboard lines in rock history. The wonderful Golden Brown, the Stranglers bass player Jean-Jacques J.J. Burnell paid tribute to Greenfield as a musical genius. The Guardian's music critic Dave Simpson was his friend.
He was a very strange character to wind up in a punk band. You know, he was a prog rocker with a moustache and long hair that joined a punk band. And in doing that, he gave them a musicality that nobody else in that original punk scene really had. They were very, very different.
Let's bring in Rob Fiddaman, who's a music expert. Morning to you.
Good morning, James. How are you?
Yeah, really good. Hope you are as well. But can you describe, let's talk about the Stranglers. Loads of people around this part of the world will have seen them because Guildford was their base. But they had a big impact on the music industry.
Yeah, well, firstly, obviously, it's a massive loss to fans of the Stranglers across the world. But more importantly, for people from Guildford, they'll be feeling it a lot more because obviously they were a massive part of the area. But yes, going back to your question, I mean, not only are they such an iconic punk band, but very instrumental part of British music culture. I mean, they were so dynamic and interesting and exploded on the scene, the punk scene in the mid-70s. They came associated with the punk rock scene due to them opening up British tours for the American punk bands like the Ramones and Patti Smith.
They were a bit older though, weren't they, than a lot of the punk bands?
Yeah, they were. Jet Black was. I mean, he was in his kind of late 30s. I mean, he was a businessman. He had a fleet of ice cream vans. I mean, they actually toured him one for 2 years. And then, of course, he had the off-license and the Jackpot, which I think they sort of rehearsed at. But yes, he was older. And, none of them were from Guildford. I mean, they all came from different parts of the country. I mean, Jet Black was from Ilford, Greenfield was from Brighton, Cornwell from London. But, they all came together and made such a massive impact. And they've influenced, I mean, they took a lot of influence from The Doors and Music Machine. But what fascinates me the most is the bands that they've actually influenced themselves, like Primal Scream. Bobby Gillespie loves them. Peter Hook, I mean, his hero was JJ. I mean, the Joy Division bass line was hugely influenced by them. In Spiral Carpets, the Kaiser Chiefs. I mean, we could be here all day. 7 UK top singles, I mean, Golden Brown. I mean, it's rated as one of the top sort of NME, 500 songs.
And why do you think that is?
I just think it's hugely. Greenfield's so infectious. His keyboard playing is just so infectious. I mean, they released it over in the States in 81 and then over here in 82, and it went on to sell about 400,000 singles.
That's amazing, isn't it?
I think the interest about the song, Hugh Cornwell mentioned that it was kind of merging between heroin and a girl, and they both kind of gave him pleasure, should we say. But I mean, that was their highest charting song. It peaked at number 2, which made them commercially, successful. It was like a real breakthrough single.
Now, I met the Stranglers last year. Actually, was it 2019? And they basically returned to the Star Inn, which is a pub that they'd played at. It was 45 years later. And they said it hadn't changed that much, which I suppose is a good thing in one way. But they really did play the small venues, didn't they?
Yeah, they emerged from pub punk rock. I mean, they were originally the Guildford Stranglers, weren't they? But they had to drop that because the notorious, murder. It wasn't really commercially viable for that name. But I mean, really, they've become, by all accounts, one of the longest standing and surviving punk bands with continuous success and and selling out gigs and tours. So such a sad loss. Such a prominent member and so influential.
Rob,
It
yeah.
really is quite sad. He was compared with Ray Manzarek from the Doors. It's such a loss, and you can see lots of people in the industry, as well as fans, are paying tribute. So it is very sad. Yeah.
Rob, appreciate your time this morning. Music expert Rob Fiddaman.